Welcome once again, Eagles fans, to Inside the Eagles Nest. I'm Justin Hall, along with my co-pilot, Kevin Tosh. Last Friday night, the Franklin County Eagles took on the Halifax County Comets at Cy Dillon Stadium. And what a night it was, Kevin. Took down the Halifax County Comets 49-29, got the wing tee offense working. What else happened this Friday night?
Well, a lot of fans have really been wondering about this Franklin County offense. You know, a lot of people really don't understand that it's ball control. It's get the ball. It's, you know, not trying to score a lot of points.
It's a boring offense.
Yeah, you're just trying to eat the clock up, keep your opponent's offense off the field. But I think all the doubters can really, they saw a little bit more of this Franklin County offense and what it's able to do when it really starts to click. Like you said, record-setting night on the ground and for the Franklin County offense. First record broken, 543 yards just rushing for Franklin County. That helps when you have 4 backs go over 100 yards.
Has that ever been happened before?
That's never happened in Franklin County. We've never had 3 backs go over 100 yards.
Wow.
And it had been a while since we'd had 2 backs, the early 2000s, I believe, for 2 backs to go over 100 yards. But just quickly going over this, since it's a really big deal, and it's not been a lot of press about it in the papers or in other media.
Well, you need to do something about that.
That's right.
All right, Robert Anderson up at the Roanoke Times.
That's right. Chance Tyree, he led the Eagles 22 carries, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. Christian Witcher, 3 carries, 135 yards. He only had 1 carry in the second half, but that's a new record also for 45 yards per carry. The minimum for the record's 3, and he clearly broke that record.
I would ask you why he didn't get any more carries, but at the same time, looking at what the other guys are doing, I mean, I guess it's understandable.
That's really, they use him in little special situations. They like to use his speed, and I think they're really able to utilize that. Just a few carries a game, mix it in, good change of pace. Anyways, Alex Keys, the third back to go over 100 yards. He had 17 carries, 104 yards, 1 touchdown. And finally, rounding out the 4 players that went for 100 yards, David McGee, 11 carries, 101 yards. We had to go back, or our statistician Carlton Wilkes went back and watched the game because he knew it was a big deal. He got the stats corrected. David McGee had 3 touchdowns. First 3 touchdowns of his career, all 3 coming in 1 game. So just a big game on the ground for Franklin County. Once again, 543 yards rushing. Another record, obviously, it's going to be set with that, is most total offense for any team in Franklin County history, 571 yards. Only other play that added on to that was one completion to from Kyle Ellis to Alex Keys. Also, another record broken, 7 touchdowns on the ground. You know, that's something you see out of a Georgia Tech, and you wonder, how are they able to do it? Well, we saw Franklin County do this against Halifax.
They're definitely NCAA and Madden numbers on the Xbox. It's unbelievable.
That's right. So that's rushing yards in a game, record set 543. Rushing touchdowns 7. Total offense for a game 571. So records really fail. Christian Witcher setting the yards per carry record. That's the name of the game. It's really not a whole lot you can say. Defense played really good for Franklin County. They stepped up when they needed to. They got tested with a different style, the kind of spread offense. Not the speed you'll see out of a David Prince later on in the season for Patrick Henry, but a good test. And it was really good to see that Franklin County offense finally start to get it. You could tell everything, everything for the offense was starting to click, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, we're making a big deal about these offensive outputs and everything. Looking back at the records that they were broken in the 2003 season, the 2004 season. Man, you and I both know we didn't miss a game that year, and really, those numbers didn't seem big at that time. You put them on perspective now, and you really realize how good those teams were back in 03 and 04. And we're not just saying that because that was our junior and senior years, but at the same time, it was our friends. But I mean, looking back at the Halifax game when they had the rushing yards totals and the points totals for all those, and I mean, it's just awesome to see that. Back then we were so good, and now it's a big deal trying to get the offensive turning. And I'm glad to see the offensive turning now. I'm sure that takes a lot of pressure off. The coaches, everybody wants to see the finished product. And at the beginning of the season, offense wasn't doing anything. Defense kept us in all of our games. And now, I mean, offense is raring to go with the defense. And it couldn't come at a better time with 2 district foes, our 2 hardest district foes, in GW Danville and Patrick Henry coming up in the next couple weeks.
Well, you have to really think Franklin County, a lot of the fans were used to seeing the power I run game, and usually that's going to feature 1 back. Your fullback's going to get a few carries, get some carries. That's 1 back. And as we saw last year, Alex Keys, he set the single game rushing record, but that's really hard on a back. When you have 1 back who's rushing down after
what
down.
Do you have, 40 carries in that record-setting appearance?
I mean, that's going to wear you down. And with this offense, I think maybe 6 or 7 players touch the ball as far as rushing. So, I mean, it spreads the carries out. It's not going to wear your players out, and that's really going to come into play. Like you said, 2 Western Valley District games left on the schedule, 2 games left on the season, and 2 really important games. And I think we're going to talk about this upcoming week's matchup as GW Danville comes to town. They're 1-1 in the district. Franklin County, like we said, 2-0. So we're going to talk about that game and let you know a little bit about what GW is bringing to the table this week against Franklin County. And we'll be right back here on Inside the Eagles Nest.
Welcome back to Inside the Eagles Nest. Kevin, you just told us a little bit about the Franklin County-Halifax game last week. All the records Franklin County broke. This week, district foe, district rival, school rival, fellow Eagles. GW Danville's coming to town to Silent Inland Stadium this Friday night. Head coach Jimmy Teague, 4-3 record coming in on the season. Tell us a little bit about what they've had so far.
Well, like you said, they're 4-3 on the season, but more importantly, 1-1 in the Western Valley District. They've got wins this season over Person, North Carolina. Halifax beat them. Not really strong out of North Carolina this year. Amherst, they've got a win over Amherst, which early in the season a lot of people thought that's a really big win, but Amherst hasn't been as strong as they've been in years past. They've got a win over William Fleming last week, 32-7, their first district win. William Fleming winless in the past 2 seasons. They also have a win over Southampton, who I believe is a AA school. But their district loss was 31-2 to PH, scored on a safety punt over or a snap over the punter's head. But that kind of gives you a little recap of the season they've had so far. But that's taken nothing away from this GW Danville team. Their numbers in their school are starting to shrink as south side starts to shrink a little bit. But 317 yards a game on offense, 235 yards on defense. So they're playing really good football. It's just they haven't been able to produce the number of wins that many fans in the Western Valley District are used to seeing them bring to the table. On offense, they're split nearly 50-50 as far as run and pass goes. We're going to talk a little bit about some of their offensive players. Their quarterback, DeMonte Ballard, 48 of 97 on the season for 685 yards, 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. But they also have a backup quarterback, Khalil Hairston, 30 of 69 for 460 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's over 1,000 yards passing combined on the season. So they can put the numbers up through the air. Really, their main target is Alan Smith, the wide receiver. He has 29 catches for 447 yards and 3 touchdowns. So that really shows that they really have a passing threat. They've been known, David Wilson, those types of running backs.
Cameron Martin, their quarterback that they had a couple years ago.
So they're known for a good offense. As far as running back goes, their leading carrier coming into last week was Travis Jones with 102 carries for 725 yards and 12 touchdowns. But he did not play last week in the win over William Fleming. He was injured, so we don't know if he's going to be back this week. Still waiting to hear from Coach Jimmy Teague on whether he'll be playing. But Akeem Smith came in relief last week, had 20 carries for 116 yards and a touchdown. That's a pretty good it's a pretty good backup to have. And as far as special teams goes, you have kicker Jeremiah McGo with the kicker, really good kicking game, 15 of 18 on extra points, 4 of 5 on field goals. He had 2 field goals last week against William Fleming. So they can score in a multitude of ways. 4-3, really strong team. Everybody knows on defense they're always fast, well coached. So that's something you expect out of GW Danville. Just a few players to watch. Ahmad Thomas, 2 interceptions. And he also has a kick return for a touchdown. Team combined has 8 interceptions on the season.
Oh, wow.
So, they're really used to defending the pass. I don't know how much they'll see it out of Franklin County.
I was going to say, good thing we don't pass the ball.
That's right. Then Shaw Johnson on the defensive side, he has a sack and a half on the season. As a team, they have 5 sacks. So defensively, they're really strong, Justin. So what are you seeing this week out of this GW Danville team?
Well, when I think of GW Danville, years past, the past 15 years that, we've been watching Franklin County, athletes. I'm just thinking of people, like you said, David Wilson, Cameron Martin, Orion Martin, his brother. What was the other running back that ended up going to Virginia Tech? I don't know. He signed a pro contract with the Cincinnati Reds. Then after baseball didn't really work out for him, he came back to Virginia Tech. His name will get back to me in a second. Also played running back. They've always had the athletes to be the thorn in Franklin County's side, where Franklin County doesn't really have the athletes. GW does, and the speed kills. And if you have a guy that can throw the bubble screens like we've seen with Magna Vista, and we've seen with Halifax, that speed, if we can't catch up with them, we can't catch up with them. Touchdown. And that's really what I think about when I think about GW Danville. I mean, this year they really haven't played anybody big. I mean, their one big test that they had was against Patrick Henry, failed miserably. I mean, they were also set to play Lake Taylor, but a couple things, band competitions got in the way, and they ended up forfeiting. Well, they didn't forfeit the game, but the game will not be played. So they're only going to finish with 9 games on the season. So that would have been another big test that we could have seen, but didn't get it going. But I mean, they look good against Person, North Carolina. They look good against Amherst. They looked good against Southampton. They look good against Fleming. But what does that tell us about GW Danville? Are they GW Danville of past? Are they the GW Danville of 3 years ago that still didn't do too hot? Or are they the GW Danville of past that's going to, hit us in the mouth and go with it from there? A lot of things remain to be seen. I mean, I'll be honest, I really don't know much about them. Just learned a lot from you right before this webcast. Thank you. And so, I mean, it should be a good game. It's always a good game when you get 2 Eagles together. Who's going to rule the nest? The guys at gwfootball.com keep amazing stats. That's the way I've been keeping up with them. And so it looks good. What are your keys to the game, Kevin?
Well, I think the key of the game for Franklin County is going to be keep what they're doing. They found the momentum. They found it a little bit against Bassett, saw the glimmers, really saw it against Halifax. They have to have a lot of confidence, but like we saw earlier in the season, they beat Salem. Huge boast of confidence for them. They don't need to have the letdown here. So I think there's no real key to the game this week, I don't think, other than everything we've said all season. Controlling the line of scrimmage, all that. They just need to keep doing what they're doing and play good team football, because that's what it's going to take offensively and defensively. Good team football for Franklin County. GW Danville, they're going to have to stop this wing T. It doesn't matter how many points they put on the board. If they can't stop this rushing attack of Franklin County, they really don't have a chance. But if they stop this rushing attack, or at the very least, if they slow it down, they have a good chance to be in this game. What about you, Justin? What do you think the keys are?
Yeah, for both teams, it's going to come to the fact are win or you're not going to the playoffs. I mean, that's putting it kindly. Franklin County is going to have to win the Western Valley District to go on to the D6 finals, which that first road, GW Danville, we beat GW Danville, we'll go through Patrick Henry. But my keys to the game are basically we have our offense working. Don't have a letdown on offense. We need churn the yards out through GW Danville. But we allowed 29 points to Halifax. Our defense is better than that. Defense needs to come out, hit them in the mouth. Put them down. Don't let them get the yards that we saw them Halifax get against us. That was a major disappointment for me, I know, because the defense have played, except for the Christiansburg game, the defense has played lights out all season. I know we had a couple injuries, a couple young cornerbacks, but cornerbacks have been stepping up. Bubba Henderson at safety is playing much better. Moving Terrell Bashan back to outside linebacker has really helped Franklin County a lot. Of course, Sheeman's playing lights out as always. But, front defensive guys playing good. Need to get in there and need to get after GW Danville's quarterback. Because, he's shown he will throw interceptions. So we just need to jump ahead of him and really have an all-around game plan. Try to get ready for PH.
Like you said, it's a really big game in the Western Valley District. Franklin County really needs to win the next 2 games to get the automatic berth, as they are currently sitting in 6th place in the Northwest Region D6 Power Points. Just quickly going down the list, number 1, C.D. Hilton. Number 2, Battlefield. They took down PH earlier in the season. Garfield at number 3, a familiar foe in Colonial Forge. Everybody remembers the Thriller a few years ago. They had our number last year. Osborne in 5. Franklin County at 6, which is the final berth in the playoffs outside.
So we would play Garfield first round at Garfield.
As that point stand out, but sitting in 7th place just outside of the playoff picture right now, Patrick Henry. So if all the teams, Patrick Henry and Franklin County, can take care of business, the game after this one, but you can never look ahead, could be for the Western Valley District title. Just quickly here on Inside the Eagle's Nest, we have our Western Valley District Power Points. A lot of people thought, looking at the points, if Patrick Henry lost last week and Franklin County won, that they would clearly jump Patrick Henry in the power points, but that was only Patrick Henry's 2nd loss of the season. There are 2 losses that have come to really good teams. Patrick Henry, just announcing here, remains number 1 in the power points, and really they've played 1 less game, but the deciding factor in the points, as we look at it right now, is the margin of victory. PH has just stomped everybody they've played when they've won, and their games that they've lost have been really close. So that's the margin right now. Number 2, still Franklin County. GW 3rd. Halifax 4th, and William Fleming 5th. That's how it shakes up right now. But like we said, Franklin County on top of the standings at 2-0. Patrick Henry at 1-0. GW Danville 1-1. Halifax 0-1, and William Fleming 0-2. Really could get interesting in the Western Valley District, no matter the outcome of this week's game. Like we said, GW traveling to Franklin County. Halifax looking for their first Western Valley District win, but they're traveling to PH. Another tough game, but as we can see, it's going to be two really powerful offenses going up against each other there.
Athletic offenses.
We'll see what comes out of that here. That's about all the time we have here on this episode of Inside the Eagles Nest. For Kevin Tosh, that's FC Insider on Twitter, Justin Hall, JustinHall04. We appreciate you coming and watching, and thank you.
Yeah.